Hi, I'm Rev Myron. I'm a minister through Pathways of Light, and I've been a Course in Miracles student for over 40 years. I'm going through the text again this year, asking Jesus to clarify for me, and then I write from that clarity, and that's what I'm sharing with you today. So let's get started. We're reading from A Course in Miracles, chapter 14, section 3, The Decision for Guiltlessness, and we're going to read paragraphs 2 and 3. Paragraph 2. Perhaps you are accustomed to using guiltlessness merely to offset the pain of guilt and do not look upon it as having value in itself. You believe that guilt and guiltlessness are both of value, which each representing an escape from what the other does not offer you. You do not want either alone, for without both, you do not see yourself as whole and therefore happy. Yet you are whole only in your guiltlessness, and only in your guiltlessness can you be happy. There's no conflict here. To wish for guilt in any way, in any form, will lose appreciation for the value of your guiltlessness and push it from your sight. What an odd thought. I believe that guilt and guiltlessness are both of value. How is that? Jesus says that each offers an escape from the other, that the other does not offer me. Okay, let's see how this works. I rarely feel guilty without digging around in the past for a memory of guilt. I've gotten good at canceling out that choice pretty quickly. Sometimes I do feel guilty about something I said or did. In that case, I'm happy to remember that I'm guiltless despite what is said or done by the body. But I also think I might need guilt. So I'm not willing to relinquish it altogether. What if I'm reading the news and I see someone has done something perfectly awful? Maybe I will want to believe that judgment. It seems ridiculous that I would hold on to guilt just so that I could see someone else as guilty. Perhaps it is a perceived need to project unconscious guilt, or perhaps it gives temporary relief to witness guilt outside myself that is greater than the guilt I feel within. Like I'm pointing at the guilty one and saying, it's not me, God, it's him. Not consciously, of course, but it could be the motivating factor. Whatever the reason for holding on to guilt, I have seen myself do it, and I've also refuted it. I'm tired of dragging guilt around. In the previous paragraph, Jesus tells us that guilt serves no useful function at all. Isn't it time to heed his words? I think so. The ego part of my mind resists this and calls me a liar, but right now I choose to believe the belief in guilt. Sorry, I choose to forgive the belief in guilt. And right now is the only time there is. I claim it as the moment I release that useless belief. So, paragraph 3. There is no compromise that you can make with guilt and escape the pain that only guiltlessness allays. Learning is living here as creating is being in heaven. Whenever the pain of guilt seems to attract you, remember that if you yield to it, you are deciding against your happiness and will not learn how to be happy. Say, therefore, to yourself gently, but with a conviction born of the love of God and of his Son, what I experience, I will make manifest. If I am guiltless, I have nothing to fear. I choose to testify to my acceptance of the atonement, not to its rejection. I would accept my guiltlessness by making it manifest and sharing it. Let me bring peace to God's Son from his Father. I've come back to this paragraph for 3 days in a row without writing about it. It tells us not to compromise with guilt. If we choose guilt in any way, for any reason, we will suffer. To do so is to deliberately choose pain and to choose against being happy. Could it be any clearer? I don't see how. And yet we go right on choosing to believe in guilt. I don't understand why we do such a thing. The good news is that there has been a sea change in my desire for guilt. I find that I'm not nearly as interested in it as I used to be. This has caused me to be very sensitive to guilt, and when it does occur, I'm quick to choose again. It is always interesting to me when something I'm working toward seems to suddenly become something that happens naturally. It's as if one day I wanted guilt and the next I didn't. But of course, that was not the way it happened. I have known for many years that guilt was a problem, but it felt like it was out of my control. I certainly didn't think that I was deliberately choosing guilt. Eventually, after asking for healing often until this asking was more consistent, I began to realize that I was the one responsible for this pain. I must be choosing the guilt thoughts, and that means I was choosing pain. But as disturbing as that was to witness, it was also my way out. If I'm choosing this, I can make a better choice. Now I notice my judgments and choose again. I notice if I'm impatient or feeling annoyed, irritated, or disgusted, and call it what it is, guilt. I know that seeing and believing in another's guilt is choosing pain and suffering. If I feel upset by situations, this is the same as saying that if things were different, it would be better. What else could that mean except something or someone is guilty of ruining my day or my life? Feeling like a victim or unfairly treated is assigning guilt to myself or someone or something. However, I choose to experience it, the belief in guilt is a choice I will regret. I can be a savior of the world as I free myself from the belief in guilt, or I can be one who binds a sonship to the world by strengthening the belief in guilt. Our minds are joined, and so my choices affect all other minds. It feels like a staggering responsibility, but when I read the prayer Jesus gave us in this paragraph, I feel confident. I feel on fire with the desire to remember our guiltlessness. And so let's look at that prayer again. What I experience, okay, tells us, say therefore to yourself gently, but with a conviction born of the love of God and of his Son. What I experience, I will manifest. If I'm guiltless, I have nothing to fear. I choose to testify to my acceptance of the atonement, not to its rejection. I would accept my guiltlessness by making it manifest and sharing it. Let me bring peace to God's Son from his Father. So, thank you so much for joining me in this reading. I hope that you found it helpful. If you did, then please like it. And if you haven't yet, please subscribe. And I'll be back soon with another reading. See you then.